I was just gonna check on you.
I know it figures. I tried to mute myself just so I could see if anybody in the audience would just catch me on that. So that's what I was trying to do. No, I'm just kidding.
This is a test. Did anyone pass?
Yes, everyone passed. No, look, this is what we're all about, tinkering, right? We're doing this tinkering stuff. And I always mess up on how many buttons. So I think of what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work this out and try and figure out my intro all on one video. It's just easier.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Anyway, man, let's get right to it. This is awesome. Christian, please introduce yourself. Tell people. I mean, I'm so glad to have you on. And how I even came across you or met you was in the StreamYard community on Facebook. Saw you answering tons of questions. So I said, man, come on and talk to us. And you were like, oh yeah, let's do it. Well, it's a little late for you, but go ahead.
Actually, I love live video. It's been something that I've been just very passionate about since it started back in the days of Blab. I don't know if you guys remember Blab.
Oh yeah.
I started a show called Social Chatter, and basically I broadcasted on Blab. I've switched from like lots of different platforms. Pretty much, I'd probably say I've used pretty much every platform for streaming as things were closed or companies were acquired. We're now on StreamYard, running Social Chatter. It's a weekly social media marketing news talk show that I run with Phil Gerbyshak each week. And, and like I said, this is a passion of mine. It's something that like, I love being able to take, for example, like a show and being able to just kind of break it down. Outside of that, I run a digital agency at socialchefs.com. And basically, we work in social media. I've been doing that since 2006, and just kind of just going with the just with the current, basically, because social media changes so rapidly.
Yes,
that's true.
So that's what I do.
Just to clarify, I love the chef deal, but it has nothing to do with food, does it?
It does not have anything to do with food, actually. But there's a reason. Hold on. But here's the thing. There's a reason. I also have a culinary arts background. And so here's the thing. Like when you're cooking, it's all about fundamentals. When you learn you learn all the techniques, and social media is the same exact way. It's all about techniques, and you can apply them to pretty much any industry you're in, whether you're in real estate, you're in legal, you're in automotive, retail. It really doesn't matter. It's all about just taking those techniques, the fundamentals.
Right, so if we asked you to, you'd go cook something for us real quick, if you don't mind.
I could.
Well, other than it being midnight where he is, but
I'm just kidding. No, that's fantastic though. That's awesome. It's kind of it's very catchy. I will say that it's very catchy.
I know it piqued my interest because I went all over the website looking for food. I didn't find any, but I found some pretty cool tips about live streaming on Facebook, and you've got a great a course that people can take about Facebook groups. I saw that. That's pretty neat. So I suggest there is a link down below, right, Michael, for socialchefs.com. Check it out, you guys. But not right now. Wait till after the show.
There you go. Now, so since we're going to make this show about 30 minutes or so, but what we want to talk about today is, like I said, how I met you and everything else, and talking about StreamYard and how StreamYard really provides us a great way to easily start doing a show. So talk about that a little bit. Talk about what kind of what you've been through and that kind of thing, and how easy it is, I guess.
So I will say this. I mean, the thing with like live streaming in general is that, it starts with like having like, what's your concept? Like, what's your show going to be about? And there's lots and lots and lots of different ways you can basically, I'd say like skin the cat basically, because live video, there's people that do, for instance, a talk show. There's people that use it just to teach people. So, it's like,
or
again,
art show, for example. I mean, just for example,
She does an art show.
that's what I do.
No. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what industry, and there's so much you can do with live video. And it really is just a matter of, like taking something that you really like. So for example, think about like the content you watch. So for example, I watch a certain, if you watch a certain show, what is it you like about that show? And then how do we actually break that down for what we do? And, and then that's one thing where StreamYard is very, very, very helpful with this. One is they have that fantastic community, as you mentioned, where we got connected. You can go there, you can ask questions. There's lots of people that are using StreamYard that will answer your questions. There's people that are using other platforms that will also answer your questions from that as well. And then with that, again, it's also just kind of putting scenarios out there like, hey, I want to do X. How do I go about doing that? And that's one thing that, really attracted me to StreamYard, is because having gone through quite a number of platforms, they're either very tech heavy. So for example, I use like a Wirecast, it's a very expensive piece of software. It requires a lot of hardware. It requires a lot of internet bandwidth, things that, somebody who's not a tech person, they go sign up for internet service. So they don't know what their upload speeds are, their download speeds, all that kind of stuff. And so, that's one way people kind of get going. You do not need that to get started. You can go to other.
It's a great way. No, I was just saying that's great. I like the fact that it's kind of made for beginners too. You don't have to learn, and you said it exactly. You don't have to learn those exact. Oh my gosh, I have to make sure the baud rate's right, or you know what I'm saying. All that different stuff, all the stream key and all that kind of stuff. This just makes that a lot more simpler.
Definitely, and you can customize it also to meet your needs.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, if it's, hey, it's, for example, Michael, there, you and Heather, like if it's just the two of you, for example, you could just have your own show, just the two of you, bring your audience in. You can customize it. So like doing the stuff you're doing right now, like you can change the background, for example, and the background, like some of these things, I mean, they're like, I looked at it like this. When I first started using StreamYard, I kind of like I dipped my toe and I said, okay, we're going to keep it using just the base features. And then I ran it for a couple of weeks. I got the hang of it. And then what I started to do then slowly was to increase different things. So for example, I had created a background, kind of like what you have there, that fits with my branding. I dropped in a logo so that it pops up over the screen. So I get the personal branding, and then you get into more advanced things such as adding, like you had earlier, you have an intro video. You probably have an outro video, so that, for example, is not something you need to get started. But it's a way to build on the show and to keep your viewers hooked.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
speaking of viewers,
let's go out there and say hey to a couple of them. Christina came in. Looks like Russ from Facebook. How about that?
Hey, that's like a first, isn't it, to have Facebook comments show up? That's
for
awesome.
me. It is. Nobody ever watches my personal. Dan's out her home out there. Hey, what's going on, buddy? And then we got Richard. There you go. He says, I love Facebook. Yeah, well, not really. Anyway, construction. There you go. Cronies. Chris, how are you, sir? Mr. Michael today. There you go. Let's see who else we got. Scott Filcher. Is that right? Fisher. Yeah, Fisher. There we go. Nice. Let's see. Can you apply motion backgrounds? You cannot in StreamYard at this time, but I can. What I do for my game show on Friday nights, I bring in a virtual camera, so everything's done. I mean, so I have virtual backgrounds. I have all kinds of stuff. So that's a whole different thing. It's kind of like what you were talking about, Christian, the elaborate, getting more advanced, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But starting out, I love that. It's so true. This is great for starting out.
And you have to, because here's the other thing. When you first start a show, you have to build the audience. You can't just like, hey, I'm going to make it super elaborate and launch my show. That doesn't work for most people. You have to build the audience, and you build the audience by engaging with them. It's not having all the bells and whistles. Like I could have the nicest car, for example, but again, like if I don't know how to drive it, for example, or the content's not good, or it just doesn't resonate with the audience, they're not going to stick around and watch.
I think that's the reason why I like StreamYard, because it does allow you the ability to focus on your content, because even if you don't have all the fancy backgrounds and all those kinds of things, if you only ever just stuck it on one person talking, left it that way, and did a show by yourself, you never have to push any other buttons or worry about anything. You just have to focus on the content and presenting a quality production. And StreamYard takes that part out of it for you, which is why I like StreamYard a lot. But that's not the only ball game out there. There's plenty of others that'll allow you to do some things too. So I like what you're saying. Focus on the fundamentals and make sure that your content is really where you're putting all of your energy. I like that.
Definitely. And, and here's the thing, like, look at some of the other services that are out there. Like, look at your YouTube channel, look at, you watch Netflix, look at, that if there's certain movies you watch certain parts of a movie, for example, and figure out how to deconstruct it. The benefit there is because, it's going to help you write your script better. I mean, like when I started my show, this is seriously what I did. I started with, I literally took note cards and I put in, okay, what's my scene going to be? What's this, this? And then I basically just sequenced them out. And then I basically just start to hone what it is you do.
Yeah, I love that. You said that in the green room beforehand when we were chatting beforehand. You talked about that, making a script. I love that idea. Have a script so that way you have an idea. It's kind of like what I talk about at my work, my real job in construction. We have a schedule. That's just the start. That doesn't mean you have to stick to it. It's just something to start with. Kind of like this. Here's a script. This is what we're starting with. Then we go from there.
Yep. And the other thing also I think is important, with people getting into live video, is just being confident as well, like on your camera. For example, my show, I'm the only person that runs the show. So it's myself, I have a co-host, and then I have a guest on Social Chatter. And basically what we do is, I know, like in my mind, having done 206 episodes basically of this, I know that, this is how the show needs to go. If you have a co-host, for example, you kind of like feed off one another. Maybe you have a conversation after, before your show, or, side conversation before you actually go live. Hey, what are we going to talk about? If there's certain things, for example, like between, Michael, between you and Heather, for example, maybe it's easier since, if you're the person doing all the controls behind the scenes, maybe it helps if, for example, she does the intro or she helps with the outro so that you can get the timing right. If you're an individual, again, you don't have to make it complicated.
Right. Right.
Everybody starts sweating like, oh my God, I hit this button. I got to hit this button. But even me, I've been doing this for a long time. Today, when I was going through, I messed the sequence up, but that's okay. And that's just it. This is the Tinkering with Tech show. Everybody knows I'm always tinkering, and everybody knows I forget the sound sometimes. I should have a checklist sitting right there, but I felt comfortable enough that I didn't need it. Obviously I need it.
Here's the other thing. You also have to be able to be, to be confident in your abilities, but also to be able to laugh at yourself as well. So for example,
exactly. Great point.
Big deal. Like you skipped a step and your audience doesn't usually know that, I mean, if the audio is not right, the other thing also, that's a good way to get some engagement with your audience as well.
All of a sudden they're hitting sound. Where's the sound?
But and hey, you know what? If they're hitting sound or they're saying, hey, I can't hear you, like they want to actually hear what it is.
Exactly. Great point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So like when you all started your show, for example, like how did you all get started with that? Was it, hey, we just picked the topic? What's going on?
How did we get started, Michael?
We go way back. We go back with Hangouts, so it's even before Blab. So we started Hangouts.
Hey, it wasn't even called live streaming when we started.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember Hangouts very well. I was actually helping run Plus Your Business. They had
yes.
So with Martin,
Martin Shervington. Yes. Oh my goodness.
And back then we had, like, for example, like right now I have a background that I put up. Again, I mean, by the way, if you want something to clean up your like speaking of live streaming, if you want somebody to clean up your office, you could always get, a custom background made. You can buy these also on Amazon. For example, you see people with the brick wall. It makes it look like they have this really swanky, apartment in New York.
Or a throne, for example.
Eileen Smith, look at there. Hold on, I got to put this up. Anytime we get a super chat, Eileen Smith, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you, appreciate you. I love my super chats. Love my people. Eileen's an awesome person. If you've
Eileen is awesome. Thank you, Eileen.
Never seen her channel, I swear to God, it's the best. And she's on Twitch every day, all different times. It's crazy, but it's awesome.
She's good.
I always learn something from her. But thank you very much, Eileen. Go ahead. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. But
I was just saying, hey, we're doing live streaming. Like now we have to put backgrounds up and whatnot. But back in the days of Google Hangouts, you had you could put some sort of augmented reality. It was not as good as any Facebook effects or the Snapchat effects that are out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's some crazy stuff you can do for sure.
But again, like you were saying, though, one thing that I like to tell people too, don't be afraid to go live. You don't need all this fancy stuff.
No,
you don't have to have any of it.
No.
You can just have a plain wall back there for all we care. The thing is, people are there for your content. So that's the key thing, especially starting out. And like you, I love the way you put it at the very beginning. Gradually come into it. You can add this, step up as you go.
And it's a growth thing too, in a way. So it basically, it challenges you to get better and to continue to improve. If you start everything out and it's like, hey, I've got all these bells and whistles. If it doesn't go well the first time, then you can go in and you can actually.
I got another one. Sorry. I think we're going to be Russ, thank you very much for the super chat. $5 super chat. Awesome.
Have to mention that there was a lovely sticker. It was the first time Eileen has ever done a sticker before. You got to mention that. So
is that what she said?
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't see the stickers in here. Yeah, you don't see the stickers in here, but
we'll have to check those out. But
I know. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So if you're going to get started with live video, here's basically all you need to get started. You need a good webcam. If you have a webcam built in your laptop, most webcams in a laptop, they're very small. They're kind of like your phone, and you try to take a photo with your smartphone. It takes a good photo if you have perfect lighting, but if you don't have good lighting, it's going to turn out typically maybe blurry, maybe some uneven shadows and whatnot. But a quality webcam, first thing. Second thing, a microphone. And and there's lots of different microphones. Like you don't need the microphone I'm using here. This is a Shure SM7B. You don't need that, but you do need a good quality microphone. The reason being, the microphones in your laptops, they're going to pick up fan noise. They're going to, if you don't have sound deadening material, if you don't have an actual proper place, it's going to sound very hollow. It's going to sound very tinny. So that's, the two items that basically you need. You want to, make it a little bit better. Hey, obviously you do need some headphones. Recommend some headphones. That can be as simple as your headphones that come with your smartphone, for example.
Earbuds. Yeah. Yep. Earbuds or whatever. Yeah.
Definitely. And then, hey, let's straighten things up a little bit. You want to get rid of that mess that's behind, on your back shelf behind you. You throw up a background, $20 background, for example. You don't even need that if you take the time and just straighten it up and make things nice and clean. Aside from that, you can add some lights, and that's pretty much it. It's all about the content. So
hold on. Richard Clarkson. Look at that for all he does. How nice is that? Thank you, Richard. Oh my gosh, $20. That is incredible.
Thank you. Wow, this is going to be the super chat show. I don't think we've ever had this many, Christian. Thank you for being here. It's all your fault.
No, that's awesome, though. Thank you very much, everybody out there. I appreciate that. Those donations mean a lot to me. But I will say, I have to say, Christian, that really is great point. I think one thing too is to keep in mind too. I think, and Heather, you and I kind of touched on this before the show, before Christian even got in, and we were talking about this. Sound is, to me, is the most important, even over video. So if your video is not great, people like that verbal communication. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we've had regular telephones forever before we've had video phones. Right. And there's a reason for that, because you can get something out of the inflection in people's voice. It's always good to see somebody, because you can tell, if they're lying to you or they're rolling their eyes and stuff like that. But sound. I think
Absolutely. And the other thing you have to think about, like, hey, when you go into a conversation with somebody, and let's say you're sitting there talking to them, and say you're using like FaceTime, for example, and the video quality isn't good and the audio is like cutting out. What's the one thing people say? They don't say, "Hey, I can't see you." They say, "I can't hear you." So it's very, very, very important to have good quality audio. You know,
Mm.
if you're doing live video, yeah, sure.
I
Right.
will say though that it does matter what type of content you're doing, because if you're doing art and nobody can see what you're doing, they get really a little bit more mad than the sound. But
Like, I skipped
this
that. Yeah.
we're probably talking about a conversational show, but
look there, modern day.
wow, got to keep it going.
Thank you, Eric. You are a kind man. I've had Eric on our show. Eric's been on our show as well.
Eric is a great guy. Thank you very much, Eric.
We
Hey, you know,
appreciate
Heather, to your point, you know, you're right. Like, it depends on the industry. Like, audio is key for most things. But if you
Mhm.
have some sort of like instructional, you know, video that you're doing, for example, if it's art, it's a very visual thing. If it's, you know, like if it's tech, like, hey, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, you know, if it's very basic, if it's basic tech, audio definitely is key. But if it's something that somebody has to have a visual where it, you know, it's basically the main piece of the live streaming, then I would say you definitely have to have good video.
And we've done shows here too where we've had like instruction on how to navigate through a website, for example, and
Mhm.
we've screen shared and had poor quality screen share take place,
Yeah.
and that's disappointing because the folks out there are trying to follow along, they're not sure where you're going, they miss the. So yeah, there are some things. So you're talking about, in that case, you got to really make sure that you've got a good internet connection,
Right.
because that could really interfere with both sound and video.
Yes. By the way, speaking of the video aspect, like, this is like absolutely key, whether you're doing live video, whether you're doing how-to tutorials, you know, it's thinking about the scene that you're going to be showing your viewers. So for
Mhm.
example, let's say I want to learn how to do something, and let's say it's on my computer screen. Let's say I take the full screen here and I say, okay, hey, you know, you need to go to the settings menu. Well, if I'm like zoomed out, like with this really wide
Right.
view, people cannot see what it is I'm clicking on. And that's
Exactly.
they want to actually know what you're clicking on. So you have
Correct.
to think about the scene. Again, it's all scripted out. You know,
Yeah.
if it's something that is detailed, you want to make sure you get detailed and as close as possible to where it's viewable for your audience. To
And
your other
people will forgive you zooming in and out to give them the best view. They will not forgive you ignoring the fact that they can't see.
They can't see it, or they can't.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is, exactly.
So if you miss something, or oh yeah, I forgot to zoom in. It's okay to zoom in now. It's okay to do that, I think.
And, you know, and that comes with practice, honestly. Like, when you make a video, you know, your first, like, honestly, if you go look at your first video that you ever do on YouTube, you know, if you just got started, for example, maybe you didn't have a mic, you didn't have a good webcam, you're gonna, like, I go look at my first YouTube video and I always kind of like laugh because you kind
Oh, no. That's not allowed. Don't ever do that. No. Just kidding.
of you know, you look at it and you're like, you know, and it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Like, the first one, like, hey, what did I do? What do I need to do to keep, you know, refining this? And, you know, as you mentioned, like, this is about tinkering. It's the same thing. You
Yeah.
want to make your video, like, how do I make, like, maybe you do the first one, you make some mistakes, you don't have the right views, you know, so you want to tinker with the video, the second one, the third one, the fourth, the fifth. As you're doing more of these, it's getting better at what you're doing.
Exactly. And you know what? I'll tell you, Christian, I know that you and Michael only just met today personally, but one thing that Michael is extremely good at, and this entire audience will agree with me, is improving. So every single, if you went back to the very first time that he did an instructional video to today, even he does a game show on Friday nights. It is the perfect example of that exactly. He literally improves it every single week to where it looks like an actual game show production now. It's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. But I'm just tooting a horn that's already been tooted before, I'm sure. But it's really cool, like what you're saying. Just keep improving and keep doing a little bit every time, and that's what you should be doing. That's how it should be going.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, does anybody have questions on anything? I mean, I'm happy to answer questions if people have
There
those.
were a couple of questions. I
Yeah.
saw something.
Heather,
Let
you
me see if I can find it. Yep.
I just want to recap real quick, what I love and how you started this whole thing. Just to recap,
I'm just going to put them up as you're talking.
That's fine. Okay. Should look into the camera when talking. There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one too. Yep. Can you have 3 people on the free version? I'm sure he's talking about the StreamYard. Yes, you can. You can have up to 6 on the free version. Is the same. The only thing that you have is the watermark and stuff like that. And you can't do some backgrounds. You can't do some branding. Is all you can't do with that. But yes. Okay. Good questions though. But like I said, go ahead.
Expense, by the way. So for example, if you're, if you want to upgrade from the free version to the paid one, I basically would say this, if if they offer a trial, I can't remember if they do, but if they offer a trial,
they do not.
7-day trial, for example, go hard for that 7 days.
Yeah.
Have access to the tool.
Great point.
Get everything, before you sign up. Don't just be like, hey, I'm going to sign up today, because it takes, 1 day you sign up and you're all excited, and then it basically just, dips your excitement, your energy level. So, think about it beforehand, before you sign up. Hey, are there certain things that I need to actually have ready before I sign up for this trial? Maybe, for example, it's a logo.
Christina's What's that? Thank you, Christina. Bless you. You're awesome too. Thank you so much.
What did you say, Christian? I didn't hear you.
I need to get in on using Super Chat as well. Like, I have to use it on our show or whatnot. It's a very useful feature, I know. And I know YouTube rolled out a ton of monetization options recently.
Right. When you're monetized, which I think your channel is monetized, is it not?
Right.
Yeah, I think it is. But anyway, we can do all that stuff. And then I just have all the extra graphics and stuff that I like to throw up and do in there. So that's kind of fun.
Good. It's very good.
And I love it.
Oh my goodness. Do you have it open so that you can see what's going on? Because it comes over here on my screen, like I see it out of the corner of my eye long before it comes up here. So I'm a little distracted.
Y'all doing a fantastic job with the timing of that, because boom. Very cool.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
It's funny, the timing of it though, because it comes up over here and then I have like a look of shock on my face, and then several, like a minute almost goes by before it shows up. But okay, sorry. Thank you.
At the 30 minutes, and I don't want to go too long for you. I just want you to know I don't want. Okay. I just want to make sure. But like I said, to recap what you've done and what you brought in, I think it's awesome, because you're talking about starting small and building as you go. I love that. Build, make it go over time. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. And that's one thing that.
Don't say that one more time.
It doesn't have to be perfect the first time.
Oh, thank you. I needed to hear that. Thank you.
And it's so true. But what's so cool though is like, I can tell that you've done this before. I could tell you did it with Blab. And the reason I could tell in watching some of your videos, you feel very comfortable. You're comfortable on screen, but that took time. It's going to take time. And I like that. Be patient.
The first one's going to be like, you're going to be so scared. You're going to blabber through things. It's not going to be very polished, but it takes time.
I will tell you that even 6 years later, you can still blabber through things, and it's not polished. That can happen as well. As a matter of fact, today's show, very much like that for me, but yeah.
I would also say, so just kind of like roll with some of these things. So, you're going to blabber through things. I know someone said, hey, definitely look into the camera. Like, that's a weird feeling at first, because, for example, okay, I'm looking into a camera and I don't really know who I'm talking to.
Right. Right. What was your trick to get started so that way that was your everybody has a trick. What was yours?
I mean, honestly, I just got on camera and I just think in my mind, okay, I'm actually talking to an audience. Like, I'm talking to a big audience. There could be no one there. And that's also, by the way, that's my trick right there. My trick is to not think about how many people are tuning into your live video.
Nice.
I think the value is, I think a lot of the value is in the replay. So basically, if you're broadcasting, say Facebook, don't think that like, hey, I'm going to go live and I'm all of a sudden going to get 100 people tuning in. You're going to get, maybe 5 people. You're going to get maybe 1 or 2 people. And then the replay is where like, hey, I've got to do the promotion. What we did was we started putting our videos up on YouTube initially to start, in addition to broadcasting through Facebook. That was before we could actually do some simulcasting, which is basically where you share it to different channels, starting from one, say Facebook, and going to some other ones. And then basically what we did was, we leveraged our other channels, our other audiences where we were basically broadcasting to. So my trick is basically just to keep in mind that the value is in the replay.
I think what you're saying there too is very, very important for someone getting started, because I think that we tend to put out there that, you pushed live and then an audience just came, and
Right.
that's not the way it works. Like, I think you alluded to this earlier, is that you have to build an audience to have an audience.
You mentioned that. Yeah, you mentioned that.
You really have to build an audience to have an audience, and they're not going to just show up because you are live. They've got to know that you're live. There's got to be somebody out there who gets that notification or is following in something that you're doing that would then know, oh, you're live. And I think that comes from persistence. That comes from sticking with the fundamentals, like you said, and most importantly, staying true to the content that you want to provide. Because if you've got a message, someone will want to hear it, but you've just got to focus on that message and not just go live for the sake of going live, because I think there's a lot of that out there too.
There definitely is. And I remember that back in the days of, say, Blab, and it was just, oh, well, what are people doing? And like, somebody's on there for like 3 hours just talking. And it's like, what are they talking about? Like, why do I need to be on there for 3 hours? Also, like you said, you're not going to just go live and everybody's just going to tune in. People have lives, and you're basically layering in, you're online and you're offline, and it's hard. And as Russ mentioned, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes happen. A lot of these channels that you see, they do not start out with tons and tons and tons of followers. What they basically do is they get really good at one, and then they move to another. And that audience says, oh, hey, I'm already part of your one community. Let me move to your next community, so forth and so forth. So,
and I think if you really wanted to be perfect and you wanted to be a mass production, go on TV.
Right.
But, here, I am what I am. You get what you get. That's one thing I think that it brings the more, it's truly, in my opinion, social media. I mean, all that other stuff to me is not, it's just, I mean, you hear me talk about that all the time, but anyway, I'm just going to say, this is social. This is the social part. And StreamYard gives us a great thing by being able to pull these comments up like this.
Which allows us to be even more social with those who are watching, which is what I love. I love.
It says, don't forget the audio, because I do it every time. But anyway.
Every time. That's right.
And by the way, the feature you have where you pull in comments, for example, like that's another thing. Like if you're doing a show, it doesn't matter what show, what industry, incorporate the comments. And the benefit there is it's, like, hey, you mentioned like Dan, for example, hey, Dan, like giving Dan a shout out, for example, it makes him feel valued because it says, hey, he actually cares. It's not just, hey, he's on video talking about himself, talking about the stuff he does.
Right.
He actually seems to care about his audience, and so, hey, that's Dan. Okay. Then
Dan.
Yeah.
I like what Chris said too. Let me grab it. Oh my goodness. My mouse isn't working.
Which one?
Oh, what'd she say? I speak to an individual. So what she said here, I speak to an individual, really, really resonates with me, because I always feel like even if only one person ever showed up to to what I'm doing, it's that one person that I'm connecting with. And that's who I'm always talking to, that one person that will come. And I think that's probably been, if I could say I have any success over 6 years of live streaming, that's probably where it all starts and resonates from, is that one person, that individual that I'm connecting with. And luckily for me, it's more than one today, but I'm still connecting with that one person who shows up. That's really my secret.
Absolutely. Yeah. So are there other questions that people have?
I like what Richard says here too. It says, there are lots watching, so that replay is great too. Because that's true. Like you said, the repurposing and the replay of the video, a lot of times you count on that. I know a lot of my shows are watched in replay just because of different time zones or different areas of the world, that kind of stuff. I think the questions we got answered, but
Yeah, I think we got all the answers, but I will say this: Tinkering with Tech is a paid for community, and those who are watching who are members of the paid for community, will give you a few minutes with Christian before he heads off to bed, because it's well into the next day over there. So we will be putting out that link. Actually, those of you who have already joined and are a part of Tinkering with Tech, there is a website, and you do have the link to be able to come into the Zoom and hang out. So we will be heading over to do that as soon as we're done here, which I think is real soon.
Very quickly. Yeah, we're going to do this really quick. We're just going to pop in there for the community members just real quick. Anybody that wants to talk afterward, you're welcome to talk to Christian afterward. Christian, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
I'd love
I love the conversation. I mean, it's great to be able to communicate with somebody who has been doing this a while, comfortable behind the camera, and is willing to say, actually in front of the camera, I should say, and is willing to say, these are the tips. It's really simple, guys. If you're thinking about it.
It's just us talking about this. It's great to have reinforcement like someone like yourself.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And if people have questions, feel free to, obviously, as you said, head over to the community or reach out to me however you want to.
Yes, and all of the information about Christian will be in the description in this video. It's already there. Once this is done and it's in replay, all of his information to reach out to him. Please do it. And I love it. You're getting some thank yous out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We really do appreciate it. I love having you kind of people, having people on, not you kind of people, listen to me, having people on that are doing the same stuff that we're doing and doing the live broadcasting, because it's good to see. If you get a chance, like I said, go over to his website, check out a couple of those videos, even his YouTube videos. I watched a couple of them. They're really kind of cool. It's kind of neat, some of the conversation that you're having.
I really like that learning Facebook groups workshop that you got over there. I really like that. I think that's cool. If somebody's interested and needs help with how to run Facebook groups, you've got the answers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And community members, go into the community, click the backstage patch. You can come in and chat with us real quick. We will, I'm going to be ending the show because, like I said, I didn't want to push this too long. Thank you again, Christian, one more time. Thank you very much. Blessed to have you on. I appreciate it. And we will see you folks next week. And thank you so much for your support. Everyone that gave a super chat tonight. Oh my God, I love my super chatters. Thank you. And I'm going to probably miss one, but I'll try it. Okay, here goes Russ, Christine, Richard, Eileen. I don't know. Russ, did I already say? I don't know. That's it. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. If I miss you, then you have permission to smack me. Geeks on Tour.
Geeks on Tour.
Yeah, it's a virtual slap, but there you go. Thank you again. I appreciate it. And we will talk soon. Thank you much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.